Bonjour, I'm gonorrhea. Let's talk about the most powerful weapon in the 21st century, the weapon of morality. Before the rise of mass media, power mostly meant arms and money. Do as I say or I will shoot you, or do as I say or I will bankrupt and steal from you. But starting in the age of the internet, we began to see the rise of another weapon. Now this weapon is actually not new. In fact, it's as old as human civilization. But thanks to mass media, its usage has increased exponentially, and unlike arms, you don't need an army. Unlike money, you don't need elite connections. This weapon of tremendous power and destruction is called morality. In this video, I want to talk about the weapon of morality, how it's created, who creates them, and what their consequences are. My hope is that my message will open a debate that is desperately needed in today's politically correct, emotionally fueled landscape. First, let's define the word. What is morality? I found a quote on the internet that says, "True morality, it's doing what's right without the threat of divine retribution nor the possibility of divine reward." By the end of my video, you will understand what a load of f***ing bullshit this quote is. The word comes from Latin and it means proper behavior. It's usually an unwritten set of laws that govern what you can and cannot do, think, or say. Second, how is morality created? Morality, unlike arms or money, is intangible. For example, you can't draw morality. You can't touch or taste it. Even the Earth's gravity is more tangible than morality. To create morality, you only need one thing, a right versus wrong binary. You don't even need more than one person. Morality can be created with just yourself. Example, should I eat this chocolate cake even though I promised myself I'd go on a diet? That's a question tinged in morality. All you need is to get into the thought process of, this is okay while that is not okay. This is more okay while that is less okay. Third, who is responsible for the creation of morality? The answer is the same as always. People who have something to lose. It's people who have some level of power over part of society, and they are simultaneously afraid of losing this power, and they try expanding their power. Why is this power over society so important to them? Because with it, you can influence and control people's thoughts, ideologies, people's perception of reality. Example, you and your friends have a chocolate cake. You know you can't have it because you're on a diet. But you would really hate it if your friends got to eat it while you can't. Solution? Ban everyone from eating it. How? By making the act of eating that chocolate cake seem wrong and the act of not eating it right. Now obviously I'm using the analogy of the chocolate cake to make it more fun to understand my point, but very shortly I'll be using more real-world examples. Fourth, what are the tools of using morality as a weapon? Expressions of encouragement like praise or justification for doing the right thing. Expressions of discouragement like shame and guilt for doing the wrong thing. Let's talk about using shame and guilt as weapons. Example, how society treats men or boys. Most boys, we all agree, are pretty f***ing horny. They didn't choose to be horny, they were born like that.
You don't choose to have an erection. The erection chooses you.
As a result, most boys like approaching girls or sex. We see this in other animal species. Nothing wrong with that, this is nature. However, society doesn't like that. Society says boys expressing their sexuality is not okay with our moral values. That's immoral. So, what does society do? They react with hatred, fear, and/or derision and comedy. Hatred. How many times have you seen male sexuality depicted as if it was Satan or the devil? Or how many times have you seen horny men being compared to animals, either in movies, games, or real life, calling men pigs, monkeys, cavemen, or wolves? Fear. How many times have we seen society try to equate being turned on by girls as somehow comparable to trying to commit felony acts against them? This fear is sometimes expressed as perv shaming, using labels like creep, creepy, perv or pervert, and I'm not even including other misandrist labels like dick, dickhead, bellend, balls, ass or asshole, jackass. You get the point. Comedy. How many times have you seen in a movie, game, or even real life where a male's crotch gets hit by a softball or punched or kicked in some way, and that's the punchline of the joke? Or a guy drooling over a hot girl pic, and that causes us to laugh. Haha, he has an erection.
How embarrassing and funny.
Hatred, fear, and comedy. These are powerful tools of shame and guilt. They make it seem super embarrassing and shameful. They make it seem wrong. Now you may be wondering, who's they? Well, I'm so glad you asked. They, the people who are most responsible for using morality as a weapon. They're the following. On the one side, we have what I call traditionists, but more commonly known as social conservatives. Examples are people of religion and orthodox patriarchs, those who are more commonly seen as guardians of the traditional way of doing things. They've been discussed and criticized and attacked over and over again by all sides. You know all about them. They're part of the problem, people who use morality as a weapon. But I want to talk about the other big source of morality, the side that is so rarely mentioned in these discussions, what I call the activists, but more commonly known as social progressives. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say activists, it doesn't just mean the people making loud noises on the streets holding signs. I'm including anyone who regularly sympathizes with those street protesters, even if they don't necessarily express it the same way. These sympathizers can be sensationalist clickbait bloggers, self-important liberal arts students, or even random Facebook posts and tweets from your friends and colleagues. If they think like that, then they're part of these social progressives. Sixth, how do these activists use morality and what are their consequences? Simply put, they have used morality in clever, very one-sided ways. For example, writing emotional articles about how terrible the Muslims are being treated in Europe, while conveniently ignoring how Muslim countries treat any non-Muslims in those countries. Their moral conclusion? Shame on Europeans and to all white people for trying to celebrate and maintain European identity. And those Muslim countries? Oh, they can do whatever they want. We won't criticize. Or an angry documentary about how women are overrepresented in science and technology fields, while neglecting to mention that boys just push the boundaries more and that many girls just don't give a fuck. And not to mention, many of these girls in fact are too busy applying for a master's degree of misandrist studies. Gender studies. Conclusion, the guilt trip on men for being too pioneering and successful. How dare these men advance humanity so much? Or maybe a weepy, tear-jerking film about domestic violence targeting women, while never giving 1 second of TV time to the topic of gender violence towards males, violence which originates from all society, from both men and women, violence which is far more systemic and normalized and severe than violence against women. Not that society cares. Conclusion, again, using the power of guilt to make society fear men, i.e., androphobia. For any of these examples, imagine if you raised your voice and started to disagree with them in public. What do you think would happen? They would attack you. Not attack your arguments, they would attack you. They would start dog whistling and suggesting you're misogynist, racist, Islamophobic, etc. Before you even finished talking, they would roll their eyes very loudly, start snickering, and suggest you're a right-wing fascist sympathizer, a closet Nazi. You gotta love the constant breaking of Godwin's law, huh? That's shame and guilt, guys. They're amazing weapons of moral compliance. To all my viewers, I would like to ask, how many times have you seen this in action, in the media or real life? How many times have you seen morality used as a weapon to silence and shame those who were deemed immoral, not okay? Furthermore, how many times have you seen the same people criticizing others for exploiting morality? The same moral preachers complaining that others are preaching and imposing morality. We live in the age of using emotion as a crutch. Emotions like teary documentary scenes or internet mob rage or vigilante justice. Much of it originates from these moral preachers. And so back to the quote from the start of the video. It's doing what's right. What is right, and more importantly, according to whom is something right versus wrong? Divine retribution or reward. You gotta love the dog whistling critique on religion. So edgy, dude. True morality. You ever heard of the true Scotsman fallacy? Well, let's just say, have I got a similar fallacy for you? Oh, God. Guys, we can't fall for them. We have to fight back. We have to call them out whenever we see this. Let me know if you have any feedback on the video. I read all your comments. If you like what you see, subscribe and give me a like so I know. And if you want me to KYS, let me know how in the comments.